Welcome back to class, guys, and we're going to work on some geometry for the first week. We switched to a new book because this book is easier to follow. So each of y'all in your notebook, you will have weekly teaching outline for geometry, and it has week 1 here. Week 1 is lessons 1.4 through 1.6, and it has quiz 1, Introduction to Plane Geometry. All right, so we're going to start out with 1.1, Basic Concepts. So if you'll look on your page, and I'll look in my book, Introduction to Plane Geometry. And it gives you lots of definitions. Geometry is going to use a lot of definition, okay? Geometry is the study that deals with the properties, measurements, and construction of flat figures, such as angles, triangles, and rectangles, and solid figures, such as cubes, pyramids, and spheres, which is just a fancy way of saying circle. You are already familiar with many of these terms used in geometry, such as angle, triangle, and circle, and you have a general notion of their meaning. It will be well, however, for you to consider further some of the most important terms in order that you may have a more accurate understanding of their use in geometry. So we may end up doing a vocabulary test in geometry so that you make sure you know what it's talking about when it says draw a ray, or a triangle, or an angle. A block of wood, an iron bar, and a baseball are example of physical solids. In physics, we are interested chiefly in the properties of material, which constitutes physical solids, but in geometry, we're looking at their size and their shape, and their size and shape in relation to other things. For example, if you're a builder and you're going to build something, you have to use geometry. Geometry will tell you how much carpet you have to buy to carpet a room or a house, or it will tell you how to cut the boards to make the ceiling. When we were building the one-room schoolhouse at my house, my husband used geometry to know what angles to cut to make the roof, or how many shingles he needed to buy to cover it. That's all geometry. So math is actually useful. It's just not one of those things teachers use to torture you with. It actually has a specific need. You use a lot of geometry when you're cooking, when you're doubling a recipe, or making certain things. You use geometry. The intersection of two surfaces of a solid is called an edge. For example, the edge of this board is where the board meets the wall. That's where two things come together. Each of these lines has an edge. It also has an angle. It also has a point. We're going to look at all those things and how they're different. All right? Let's see. The intersection, a line is where two surfaces meet. So if I take this book and I put it down on top of this notebook, I now formed a line. There is a line where the two meet each other. That's a line. It also makes an angle. All right, and if I put it up here, okay, I can see an angle. So there's lots of different things that we're going to learn that you can do with lines, with solids, with points. Let's see if there's anything else you need. Let's see. Solids, surfaces, and lines are called geometric figures. Their form or shape is considered as well as their size. For example, this is a rectangle. This is a rectangle. That desk that you can't see is a rectangle. This is a rectangle. This wall is a rectangle. That poster is, but they're not the same size. So if I wanted to compare them, I have to have size and shape. All right, and sometimes even depth is important. For example, the poster is flat, but this board has about 1/8 of an inch width. So that gives it depth. Then it has other things that we'll have to look at later. A straight line is one of the most fundamental concepts in geometry. The following examples. If you take a piece of paper and fold it, the crease is a straight line. All right, so let's do that. Let me find a piece of paper. Is there a piece of wasteful paper in here? There's something on the floor. Teacher did report. We don't need that. All right, here's a piece of paper. I'm now going to fold it. Now that crease has now made us a line. There's a line on that side, there's a line on that side. That is a line. Tie a weight to a string and suspend it from your hand. The string is a straight line. So if I have a piece of string in my hand and something's at the end making it stay down straight, that is a line. makes a straight line. We really don't have to put something tied to it, but sometimes the string's gonna be all squiggly because it doesn't have any weight, all right? If you have a ruler, the ruler's going to be making a straight line. So if I put a ruler on a piece of paper, I can draw a straight line. And in your classroom, there will be a whole plastic box full of rulers. Anytime you need them, they're sitting on the table. There's also a compass there, there's also a protractor there. So you can use those. If you don't want to know what a compass and a protractor are, I'll show them to you when we need them later. Don't want to overwhelm you the first day. It's just telling you some stupid stuff. It says if you hold your ruler or your straight line up in front of your eye and look at it, you're going to see that it's a straight line. But you really don't have to hold it up in front of your eye to see that it's a straight line. Just like you can see that these lines are straight, this book is straight, all right? The instrument used to draw straight lines is called a straight edge, which we call a ruler. A surface is a plane if the straight line joining any two of its points lies wholly within the surface. For example, the cover of a book, right? That is a flat surface, and it makes a plane because all of the points on it are on the same plane. Now, the back of the book is not the same plane because it's further back, all right? So let's look in your geometry handout for lesson 1. It's going to be back because you got a lot of pages. So lesson 1. Says it's a quiz, but it's really not. It's just practice working. Let's see if y'all got any work in your geometry book. Doesn't look like there's any 1.1 written work. Stop that for a sec. I'm going to go